guys, it's Kim from Emerging Creatively Tutorials, and this is the Inspired mini-series. So, a couple of days ago, I gave you a prompt for your art journal page, and it was, I feel happiest when. And this is the page I made. I used some photos, and I talked about that a little bit on the last video. So, just like last week, we are going to take a look at our art journal page and draw inspiration from it to make a piece of jewelry. And this works no matter how you made your page. Last week, I made my art journal page was just a list of things that I love about my life, and that was your prompt as well. And so I used the list, and I came up with a piece of jewelry. So you can, if you missed that last week, you can go back and see that from last week. This week, this is my page, and this time I used photos mostly and some paint and crayon. And so we're going to do the same thing again. So if you made a list, you can still do this the same way. So what I would like you to do is just take a look at your page and pick out something that's really inspiring you from the page. So one thing that really stood out to me, and you can probably tell because it's also the biggest part of this page, is I feel happiest when I'm in nature. I take a lot of walks. I've written about that on my blog before, and this is a picture from the path I walk on, and as you can see, there's lots of trees and it's kind of beautiful. And last time I had a list, so I just wanted to give you some tips if you wrote instead of using pictures or drawings or colors. And so if that's what you did, you can simply look through your list and find some words that call out to you. So just choose some words if that's the case, or kind of look at your picture if that's the case. If you did like a painting or something like that with layers such as that, you can draw directly from the colors you use and that sort of thing. So we go from here, and I showed you this last time, to making kind of a map. And this is kind of a map for how I want to make my piece of jewelry. So you just come up with ideas. So I wrote the title up top. I wrote happy because these were things that made me the happiest, and then I wrote nature because that's what I've decided to focus on for my piece of jewelry out of the options that I had. So the main things I've chosen to focus on to kind of gather information and ideas are themes, colors or stones, and techniques. Now, like I mentioned this last week as well, this is just what comes to your mind. It doesn't matter if it makes sense for anybody else, if they can see the direct correlation between your art journal page and the jewelry you make. It's just for you to come up with ideas. You may or may not use these ideas in your actual jewelry piece, and it's fine. The ultimate goal is to make a pretty piece of inspired jewelry that you're happy with. So it doesn't really matter how you get from the art journal page to the jewelry piece, but this is just to help you kind of gather some ideas. So for me, since I'm going with nature, I came up with themes. So this is things like leaves, trees, butterflies, dragonflies, flowers, and these are all things I see while I'm on the trail, which is where that photo is from. It's not necessarily all the things that were actually in that photo, but there were definitely trees and leaves. And then I came up with a color palette. So I knew I wanted to use kind of more muted colors, so greens and browns, and I actually put a little arrow for brass because I didn't really want to use brown stones, but brass has a nice kind of brown tone to it. And I'm not sure exactly where I came up with light pink, but light yellow I also put because of the sun, and also because there was a picture of flower on my art journal page. The pink, I think, more just is kind of goes along with my page in general. There was a picture that did have some light pink in it, and I think I just got some beads that were rose quartz, so I think I wanted to use light pink anyway. So as you can see, it might not be a direct correlation. There are pink flowers along the trail that I walk on, or there are in the summer, so that kind of goes along with that anyway. But like I said, whatever you think of it's your piece of jewelry. It's your map for your jewelry, so whatever comes to your mind, just jot it down. And then I like to do a technique section because there's so many techniques you can do in jewelry making that you might get overwhelmed of all of the ideas. So you can kind of try to narrow it down a little bit. So although I kind of have a lot of things written here. So I had an idea. I wanted to make a layered necklace. So it's like a necklace that has a lot of different layers to it. I wanted a big focal piece. I thought I would do some stringing or some wire wrapping, and I knew I wanted to add some chain because I just got this big chunky brass chain, and it was bigger than I was expecting. I ordered it online, and that's sometimes a mistake you'll make, especially with chain. That's what I've found. But I knew it would look cool in this situation if I used it as one of the layers on the necklace. So I had that in my mind when I was writing this down. As soon as I thought of brass up here, I started thinking about the brass pieces that I had. So then I went to my jewelry storage, my different components I have. I have a storage container of just brass, and was going through that, and I found, I'll show you now, I found this awesome brass dragonfly. Alright, so I came down a little closer. So I found this dragonfly, which I've had for many, many years. I actually have 2 of them, and I've actually had more that I've used a few. But I was like, oh, this is so perfect. Not only is it brass, which is on my map, but it's also a dragonfly, which I've also put on my map. So that quickly became the main focus of this piece. And then I have these really pretty green gemstone chips that have shades of brown in them that look gorgeous with brass. This is the chain I was talking about that was a lot thicker than I was expecting. And then I have my rose quartz beads here too. So I think it just kind of all goes together and is beautiful, and is a nice reflection of my art journal page. And like I said, this may not look like a direct correlation. This green isn't exactly the same green. I think the brass does look great with this picture. And you know, the pink, there's some pink in it. And actually it's rose quartz, which symbolizes love, and I'm happiest when I'm with the people I love. So my hubby and my stepdaughter. And so I think it all kind of ties together with my page. And even though I was focusing mostly on nature on my map here, the overall effect is it reflects my art journal page. So I hope that helps you find some inspiration for your own jewelry making. I hope that this is helpful. I know that doing a different sort of art type thing when you're also focused on one. So, for example, you may mostly only make jewelry, which is great and wonderful, but sometimes you need a little extra inspiration, and sometimes doing something else will help you get that inspiration. And then, since you can actually just go from this art journal page to a map of what you might want to make from ideas that are inspired from that page, I hope that brings you inspiration. So I will see you next week, and I'm excited to also bring you at the end of next week a wonderful sale. I'm launching a brand new e-course called Inspired, which is going to be somewhat similar to what you're doing right now, but much, much, much more in depth, and a lot more activities and that sort of thing, much more inspiration. I will also be having a sale on my Rediscover Your Creativity and Make Jewelry e-course. There's going to be a bundle of the two classes together, or you can get them separately at a great price too if you're only interested in one or the other. And so that will be next week, next Friday. So like we call in the United States and maybe elsewhere Black Friday, that is when that sale will hit, and it will last all the way through Monday, which is Cyber Monday. And so I'll have all that information for you next week, and we will continue next week with another prompt and some more inspiration. So I will talk to you then.